Welcome, guys, to the first ever Mad Media Podcast episode. I'm your host, Chris.
I'm your host, John.
And what we want this podcast to be is essentially a podcast just about media, whether it's reviewing something that's new, that's come out, or isolating a project and dissecting it, and at its core, just being basically fans.
Yeah, just breaking down movies, music, anything really, media, and then just we'll talk about what we like, what we don't like about things, stuff like that. You know?
Yep. We basically have our expertise in both hands, whether it's music, media, art, film, any type of medium that you could think of. We're here to give our take on it. And what's the first thing that we're going to be talking? Actually, well, first off, before we even get into any of that, I recently, me being down in Manhattan, popped on over to the Javits Center the other day for Fanatics Fest. I don't know if anybody knows what that is, but it's Fanatics Fest, New York City 2025. It mixes everything from NBA, NFL, NHL. Celebrities come from all over, and especially my favorite, WWE. And my God, it was a blast. Now, Johnny, you've dabbled in wrestling, but it's been a while, right?
For sure. Like I said, the last stuff I watched was like probably when Raw was still like Monday Night Raw was still like the pinnacle of wrestling.
Yeah.
And like it was like Stone Cold Steve Austin was still wrestling and stuff like that. And then you had like the Attitude Era and stuff like that. You know?
That's like 90s, early 2000s, right?
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Yeah. But still good nonetheless. Like I'm cooking up a vlog right now. I'll post it on the channel sometime later. But my God, like celebrities galore. Keegan Michael Key, Tyreek Hill, Tiffany Haddish, Kevin Hart was around. Jay-Z was walking by. Conceited from Wild 'N Out, if you can consider him a celebrity, maybe, probably not, hopefully not. Yeah,
I mean, in his own right, for sure.
Yeah, and obviously Triple H, just in his old fun-loving millionaire glory.
Now Triple H, he is I think we've talked about this before. He does not wrestle anymore. He's just administration kind of thing, right?
Yeah, so he had, I think it was a mini heart attack like a few years ago, and that's when he was like, okay, I got to hang it up, because they brought him back with Shawn Michaels and Kane and Undertaker for a Saudi Arabia show. A couple years ago, and they were like, oh, because the Saudi Arabians, like when they have this deal with WWE where they do a certain number of shows for hundreds of millions of dollars, and it's crazy. They like the classics back, so they like bringing back Goldberg, Brothers of Destruction, DX, all that stuff, and they bring them back, and oh my God, it was terrible. It's like watching like a food fight at like the retired senior center. Right. It was horrifying to watch. But yeah, he's the chief content officer now, so he's in charge of all the creative.
I remember one thing that was specific when I watched wrestling is I got to watch like Kurt Angle.
Yeah,
you could basically watch him just age as he went along. He was like, you would be a snippet here, and then you wouldn't see him for a while, and then he'd come back.
Did you see his run in TNA?
I didn't. No.
Because he started doing like luchador flips and like changing up his whole arsenal and jumping off cages. Yeah. But he's in bad shape now.
Yeah, I remember him and Chris Jericho. They just got old and feeble.
Jericho's still wrestling right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
I remember. I remember when I was a kid. I was super into wrestling when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And like that was back when they had the regions.
Yeah.
So it was like the Midwest region was like Minnesota over to Montana and stuff like that. And we used to go to, there's an event center in Jamestown, North Dakota, where I live in North Dakota, everybody. Yeah. So, the flyover state, as they call it. But there used to be a small civic center. It probably fit, I don't know, 20,000 people, maybe 15,000. And there used to be, I mean, you'd see Coco Beware, you'd see Hulk Hogan, you'd see the Ultimate Warrior.
Damn.
Like the who's who of wrestling would come through to this tiny little spot. And like that's what I remember. And then it got a little bit more what do you call it? Corporate, I guess you would say. When it started, like McMahon really started
really aggressive, yeah.
Yep. But I remember that was like when I was a little kid. I remember it was a weird time in wrestling because Jamestown, North Dakota, not much comes there. And then you got like one of the biggest wrestling things.
Yeah. Are you enough in the know to know that Hulk Hogan isn't really liked anymore?
I know he's not very liked.
Yeah.
I remember I remember watching the last I heard he was going through like all his court cases and stuff like that, and there was like
Yeah.
some bad stuff in that. But
Yeah.
then on top of that, like in wrestling, I think the people turned on him pretty hard.
That and like he just got caught with so many stupid lies about nothing and randomness, and then there was like he had some racist moments and things like that, and just kind of got out of favor. But the reason I bring that up is because like wrestling fans are just naturally savages. Like it is in and
Sure.
of itself just entertainment, but at the same
Yep.
time, like at Fanatics Fest, so they had this whole thing where they had a whole entrance stage set up, so you could choose somebody's music and walk down, and the crowd would cheer and everything. Some poor kid, I swear to God, he was like 6 years old. Some poor kid, for some reason, chose Hulk Hogan's entrance to walk down to, and like 150 people just booed him.
Oh
And I'm like,
man.
and I was laughing my ass off because I was like, you don't know this kid, and this kid doesn't know you, and all of you just boo a child.
Yep.
And I'm like,
Well, like well, on top of that too, like when it became like the corporate wrestling stuff,
yeah,
we used to get like on their way to like the big events, the televised events.
yeah,
You would get small stops in North Dakota. They weren't televised. They were just a one nighter kind of thing or whatever.
hmm,
And I remember the last one I went to, I got to see Shane McMahon.
okay,
That's when he was like wrestling and doing all his high flyer stuff and his
yeah,
what was it, hockey jerseys he used to always wear.
pretty much, yeah.
I got to see Hacksaw Jim Duggan,
Oh my
and
God,
and that was incredible. It's just because he was like, I've never seen somebody so in character.
yeah,
Like, didn't break character once. Like,
yeah,
he'd be walking around doing the thumbs up the ho thing or whatever,
yeah,
and then the whole crowd would do it, and he would do like
yeah,
that
yeah.
or whatever. It was goofy to watch, but it's like that guy means it. He lives and breathes wrestling. You know what I mean?
Well, hey, if we get enough requests, like we might do like a little like sub episode or something like every now and then of wrestling content, because wrestling is white hot right now. It is crazy.
Yeah.
And some of these
Mhm.
tickets are going for like $500, and people are just eating them up. The photo op with Undertaker this week at Fanatics Fest was $230, and they were sold out in like minutes.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. But you know,
There's-
if you
Yeah,
want, if you got the money, go for it. I'll be over here with Rey Mysterio for $85.
I'd pay $85 for a photo with
Hell
somebody
yeah,
for sure.
it was awesome.
Just to say hi.
Uh huh.
Then I if I find this photo, I will send it to you. But
Okay.
I'm a little kid, probably 2 or 3 years old, probably
Mhm.
2 years old. And do you remember who Coco Beware was?
Yeah. Yeah.
Coco Beware, the guy with the parrot, and just
Yep.
massive, dude.
Yep.
I am standing by Coco Beware, and I'm wearing like those neon suits, like the '90s suits or whatever,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you know what I mean, like that, just the fluorescent colors of
Yeah.
the '90s. It just looks disgusting. But I am scared absolutely shitless because I don't know if it was because it was just a wrestler dude or
Yeah.
just a massive guy, but I am like standing there and my mom is like right next to me and I am terrified. If I find that, I'm going to send it to you. But yeah, I have a photo
Yeah.
with Coco Beware somewhere,
Which
with
is
him
like
and his parrot.
the complete opposite of my experience with Rey Mysterio, because like I was elated. I literally told him, I said, dude, and I posted this on Instagram. I said, you are the reason why I almost ripped my mom's copper pipes out of her wall, because I would practice doing the 619, but I would grab like the pipes, the plumbing that like really weren't meant for it. God, if I
Mhm.
had done that one more year, I would have broken that plumbing.
Oh yeah.
But,
Well, we used to. Do you remember those like action figure doll things? They were like
oh
pillows.
yeah,
Wherever we used to put a hern on those things on a
Uh-huh.
trampoline. Like
Yep.
we would be on a trampoline and that would be our ring, and we would be doing all the moves. That's when like Raven was big,
uh-huh.
so it's like you're doing all the Raven moves and stuff. And
Yeah.
ECW is still
Yeah.
in its height. It's like ECW on Friday night. That was a wild time, man.
ECW being as extreme as it was, and for those of you out there who don't know what ECW is, it stands for Extreme Championship Wrestling. So it's everything in WWE, but probably bumped up a notch in terms of violence and weapons that you use and everything.
Yep.
I remember ECW two things were happening. I started watching ECW at the same time that flip phones started having video capabilities on it, because
Yep.
the first videos I ever recorded on my little flip phone in like 7th grade was me and my friends in middle school finding out that my mom's cookie sheets made the same sound as a steel chair, and they didn't
Mm-hmm.
hurt. And so they
Yep.
would put it up by their face, and we would legitimately, and this is why they say don't try it at home, not, for kids. We would super kick the hell out of those things and just do like, I don't know, steel cookie sheet shots to the backs of, like, it was brutal, man.
Yeah, my mom would go to the dollar store and buy cheap cookie sheets just so we could bash them over each
Oh,
other's
she
heads.
did that intentionally. Oh, my mom was pissed.
Oh yeah.
She
Oh no
couldn't
no no
bake.
no no. Well, let's put it this way: if she didn't buy those, we probably would have used her good pans, and then she would have been very much like your mother.
It's like a little
That
distraction. I like that.
oh man. But she was just like, they're gonna do it anyway, so I might as well spend $2 on a cookie sheet that can bend like that. You know what I mean?
That's
It's
a
like
funny.
whatever. They're not gonna hurt each other.
I think my dad said a while ago, he's like, if you have one boy, he's like, the more boys you add to a group, he's like, the dumber the group gets.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like,
Well, like
yeah, I get it.
my
Thanks, Dad.
mom. Yeah, my mom had. I'm a twin, so my mom
Mm,
had two boys in the house,
damn.
and then like my older siblings were like they were older, doing their own thing, and then they were out of the house. But it's like me and my brother, we were both into wrestling,
Hmm.
and we did some questionable things. Like there was some beds broken.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know those beds that had those cheap slats or whatever
Yep.
that would break
Yep.
if you put your knee on it. Basically, yeah, we were doing like turnbuckle,
Hmm.
like suplexes and stuff from
Yep.
like dressers.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. It were good times. I miss them.
Yep.
But anyway, we'll table that for now. You were telling me that you watched something new just before we started airing.
Yeah, I went and saw 28 Years Later,
And I
and
think,
that's
and I
like
said I have no idea what that is. So yeah, go ahead.
well, it's kind of like a Dawn of the Dead, but like a UK version of it. I think this one was filmed in Scotland,
Okay.
and it was basically it was kind of like the Doomsday like zombie stuff where you have like these colonies
Yeah.
and they have like watches and stuff like that, and it was kind of I don't know. It's a different movie because it's like they have to separate the colony from
Hmm.
the mainland where they
Yeah.
have to go get resources and stuff. They have this little land bridge, and it's like in high tide and low tide you can access it.
Hmm.
And so you would go to the main bridge, or you would go to the mainland, and then you would have like 4 hours before that bridge would be covered with water. So you have to get back in a certain time.
Oh.
And it's kind of about it's I mean the whole movie is kind of it was kind of like not really go anywhere kind of movie. It was one
Mhm.
of those like movies that it's just like kind of the story told as it goes on.
Yeah.
And it's basically this kid's mother, she has cancer, and
Okay.
they're trying to like find a cure for it. They don't know what it is. And there's some doctor or something that's like lost his mind on the mainland,
Mm.
and this guy's son tries to like go find this doctor, but he's only been to the mainland once, so he's like just learning how to kill zombies and stuff like that. And it's all like bows and arrows. There's very few guns
Hmm.
and stuff like that because it's like resources are gone and all that stuff.
Okay.
And I don't know, it was a fun movie,
Yeah.
but it didn't have a lot of substance. Like it didn't have a very good storyline.
Did it? Could you tell that it was in Scotland?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
All right.
It was like the Highlands and stuff like that, and then it was like those small islands off of the mainland.
I got
Stuff
you.
like that.
Because like what I
Yep.
see most people like filming in Scotland is either something Game of Thronesy or Harry Potter. And I was like,
Yep.
okay, I can clearly see that those are Scottish castles, the bridges for the trains, all that stuff.
Oh,
I was like,
yep.
Scotland is, if you're going to shoot in Scotland, it's a choice.
Yeah, I mean, it was very green, very like mountainous and forest and stuff like that. So it was probably the northern part of Scotland, like close
Yeah.
to like the locks and you know where because like the colony was built on an island, and
Okay.
then they built that land bridge all the way to the mainland.
Yeah.
So it was like to separate themselves or whatever.
God.
And one of the most confusing parts of the movie was there was these things called alphas, and it was basically picture like was it is it Jason Momoa or whatever
Yeah.
or
Well,
whatever, just a jacked, just like huge, like well, Jason Momoa is not 7 feet tall, but like these things are 7 feet tall and like built like the Rock. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah.
And basically, smaller zombies follow them around, and
Mhm.
then like they control like the smaller zombies, like
Yeah.
with commands and stuff like that. But one thing I didn't understand was the alphas.
Mhm.
They would never attack you and try to eat you. They had a fascination of ripping your spine out with your head.
Oh my God.
So it was an interesting thing, and they would just like they would hold it and use it as a weapon. They were basically like huge cavemen.
What is this?
But
What is it? What's the genre of this?
I mean, I would say horror, zombie horror
Oh
kind of
God.
thing, but it's not as horror-ish as you would think it would be. It's it's pretty mild compared to like a lot of other zombie films.
Yeah.
Like well, I was gonna jump to like one of my favorite zombie films is 30 Days of Night. Well,
Hmm.
it's not a zombie film, it's a vampire film.
Yeah.
But just like that kind of ravenous, like zombie vampire kind of thing.
Yeah.
This was not that, you know what I mean?
I,
Like a zombie in this movie, if you stood still
yeah.
and they were in the distance, they couldn't see you. It was almost like they read like the horizon. And if you know, it was
It's
kind of
like
weird.
it's like A Quiet Place. Almost like if you made
Kind
no
of.
sound,
Yep.
like they couldn't get you, which I still have yet to see. That's on my list. You know, the
Yep.
funny thing is like I think about that all the time, and I think about like just the sound alone of like somebody's like spine getting ripped out from their body has got to be
Yep.
like horrifying. And I know I give a lot of praise to Foley artists who have to make all of those sounds, you know, ADR and everything. Um,
Yeah.
and I'm like, you got to kind of have to be like a sadist because the amount of times that you spent, the amount of hours that you spend day out and day out, like thinking about how to make the sound of whatever's happening to that person's body, like that's messed up. I was like,
And like and when it came to this movie, the alphas or whatever, those
yeah,
big alphas or whatever, that's really all they did.
oh
So it's like
God,
they could have been axed out of that movie easily.
dude,
But it's like they put so much emphasis on just ripping a spine with it still connected to the head and then them
I,
like whipping it as a club.
I
It's like
don't know. I don't think I could get through that. Like
it was not good.
I could do minor amounts of gore, but like
Mhm.
once you get to like swinging it around, like I
Mhm.
would tapping out. Like I watched Get Out for the first time. That was good. I
Okay.
liked it. I the only thing that kind of enticed me about it, well, actually there were two things. One, Jordan Peele. I love him as a
Okay.
comedian. Never saw any of his serious horror stuff yet. And two,
Yep.
I just heard, and I kind of fall victim to getting my opinion swayed after hearing reviews and stuff like that, even before I've seen the actual content. So somebody said that it was artsy, and they're like, "You like artsy?" I'm like, "I do like artsy." So like, you would like Get Out. So I watched it, and the there was like, I don't know, there were some scenes in there where things heads are getting cut and whatever, but other than that, it wasn't. Did you see Get Out?
I've never seen Get Out. I did see the one I can't remember the name of it. The film where he has like they're
Oh,
like double lives,
yeah, I haven't seen that
like
one yet, but
underground
it's the
people.
next one. It's like Nope or something like that.
I've seen Nope. Nope was pretty
Oh,
good.
that's a different one. Oh, okay.
Nope is one about it's about aliens technically.
Oh, okay. I know the one you're thinking of with Lupita. I forget her
Yep.
name. Yeah, that one looked good. That's on the list too. But Get Out was like super artsy and it had like mild elements of racism in it. And
Okay.
well, no, it was.
Yep.
It's meant to depict how subtle racism really is. And what I loved about it is that like racism, and I've experienced this in my own life, is that racism, a lot of racism in modern day is punching upwards instead of punching downwards. So instead of saying, you're Asian, you can't do this, all that stuff, that's really overt, that's really only for like cheap Hollywood films. There's some guy trying to block you from like getting into the pool. Uh,
Mhm.
it's more subtle.
Yeah.
Like they say to this guy who's black, the main character, and they say, "Oh, do you golf?" And they're like, "Oh, no, I don't golf." And they're like, "Well, I was a pro golfer, but I really like Tiger Woods. He's my favorite." And
Hmm.
it's like little things like that. Like it's like you have to feel like you need to get it in by saying it's the same thing they say with Asian people. Like every time I say I'm Korean, they're like, "Oh, I have a Korean friend." Like I don't give a fuck.
Yep, right.
Um,
Well, that's what people use too. It's like, oh, I have a black friend. I can say,
yeah,
no, you really can't.
yeah, and then and then like certain things happen. I won't spoil the movie, but certain things happen throughout the movie. And there's one character at the end, the little subtle elements of racism I really like, where there's a really psychopathic character in there who we see a scene of that person on the computer eating a bowl of just dry Fruit Loops and a
Mhm.
glass of milk next to it. And she takes a sip of the milk and then she eats the Fruit Loops one piece at a time. And it's literally a symbolization that she will not integrate whites and colors.
Doesn't want to do. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I figured it would be like doesn't want to get soggy, but
I mean, to any normal person, yeah, that's exactly what I would do. And I if that was how what she was planning on doing, kudos to her because I completely
right.
understand. But it's literally you chose the most colorful cereal and separated it from like the white milk. And
Yeah.
I wouldn't make that connotation if I didn't see how like how weird things got like for the 10 minutes before that scene.
Yep.
But yeah, it's
Well,
actually it's
that's
really good. I loved it.
yeah. Like
I hated
speaking
it,
of,
but I loved it.
yeah, I was gonna say like speaking. You've seen American History X, right?
Oh my god, it's been a while, but yeah.
But speaking of like that subtle like racist stuff
Hmm.
in movies or whatever that they're trying to get it across, but not like being so in your face with it.
Yeah.
That part where he's in that guy's house and he has that bowl of white jelly beans and
Yeah.
there's one black one in it and he flicks the black one out
Damn.
and he eats the jelly beans. It's like, yeah, I get what you're saying.
That is
Just like those little subtle,
yeah.
like
Yeah. Um there are things that they talked about in there and they acknowledged that like, black people do differently or whatever. Like the guy keeps saying over and like the father of the so there's the black protagonist and he's dating a white
Mhm.
girl. She takes him to meet her white family and they they're very progressive and everything. And the dad says constantly to the point where you think that it's a gimmick. He's like, I would have voted for Obama a third time if I could have. And it keeps saying that over and
Yeah,
over and over as a way as like to open a door to like a conversation. But it's like, you don't need to tell me that. I don't, it doesn't really affect anything, but I understand. Okay, you're an ally. Great. Like, can we move on from this? But
right.
I don't know. American History X is one of those movies. It's like on my list, but like it's one of those that I
Yeah.
really have to be in a good mindset to watch because it's so heavy. I can't to this day like go back to that curb stomp scene.
Oh yeah,
Like
it's
that's the
brutal.
thing that's taken me so far away from this movie.
Yep. I look at it. It's a hard watch,
Yeah.
and it is a very vile movie, like
Yeah.
compared to like the subject matter and stuff like that. But to me, it is one of the most creative and best movies ever made. Like just
Probably.
the way it's filmed and the way the story's told.
Yeah.
I just think it's an
Yeah.
interesting film to make,
And not
and
gonna lie, like hard
Edward Norton.
watches, yeah.
That doesn't hurt to have Edward Norton as your main
Yeah, yeah,
character.
yeah. And hard watches generally are the most impactful because they're hard to watch and you're not sugarcoating anything. Like I remember watching Schindler's List for the first time. And
Oh man.
I told my girlfriend after I said this is amazing, but I really
Yep.
can't watch it again for at least a year. And then
Yeah.
I think I ended up watching it with her like the next night. But
Well, with movies like that
yeah.
too, you kind of have to because there's stuff that you're so in the you're so into the movie like
Hmm.
when you're watching you're so into like what they're doing that you miss certain things.
Yeah, yeah.
You know
I
what I mean? It's like Schindler's List. Like there's small little parts that you can kind of miss, but
yep.
it's
Mhm.
pretty. I mean, it's a pretty straightforward movie of how
Yeah.
shitty the Nazis were
So
and
that's
everything.
the
But
thing is that hard watches can kind of be synonymous with documentaries because
yeah,
you're not like the hardest watch is the fact that Hollywood isn't Hollywoodifying the actual
mhm,
story and they're just showing you exactly what happened, whether it
yep,
was in Nazi was it Germany? Yeah, in Nazi
yep,
Germany or literally America with American History X.
yep,
And
yeah,
I think that says something more about our culture and the media that we consume than it does about the actual film. and that the fact that
Yeah,
we
for
aren't
sure.
used to seeing something like this and be like, but this is what the humans did.
That documentary that I told you to watch, or I sent you a link for it. I think I don't know if you watched it, but Welcome to Leith.
Oh, that's right. No, that's on my
I
list.
was gonna say that's kind of a hard watch, just because it's like it turns a corner so fast. Like
No, wait, explain to me
it
again what that
turns.
is again.
Welcome to Leith is it's a film. It's a documentary that was made in North Dakota. Leith is a small community in North Dakota that
Hmm.
has probably 10 people in it. Like
Okay.
we have those little pocket communities that I mean, have a bar and maybe a post office.
Oh my
No grocery
god.
store. You have to like they would have to drive to Bismarck to get groceries.
Yeah.
It's close to Bismarck, and there's a guy. I think his name's Craig Cobb. He's like he's a very well known white supremacist. He's been like kicked out of countries for like um trying to create hysteria and stuff like that, like through the Nazi movement,
Yeah.
and like he's banned in Estonia, so and like stuff like that. And then he basically came to Leith with the intention of making it a Nazi enclave,
Wow.
but he showed up quiet at first. He showed up, bought a house, and then he basically went around asking people if they have any property for sale.
Hmm.
And then all of a sudden, it turns a corner, and there's Nazi flags in front of his house, and there's people camping in his house, and they're basically trying to overthrow the government through
Hmm.
numbers. Because if you have, just like anywhere else, if you have a town of 10 people and you bring in 40 people and they declare residency in that town, you can vote and make somebody the mayor. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
So he's trying to take over the town through the government.
Wow. That's
So it's
crazy.
and then it's like it's a small build. It's a slow burn kind of thing
Yeah.
where he's just he's not very social with people.
Hmm.
He asks them like those questions and stuff like that, and he like just goes on walks by himself, and then all of a sudden, bam! There's 40 Nazis in your community, and they're trying to take over your community.
That
And
is
this
crazy.
did happen. You know what I mean? Like this happened. I think it was like it was less than 10 years ago. I think, or like right around 10 years ago.
Now, why there though? Like, what is that town to them?
Because it's an easy target.
I guess so.
I think
Yeah.
that's kind of the way they explained it, because they only have to override 10 votes to
That's
get somebody to the mayor position. Basically, they viewed those towns because they could put one of their people in every aspect of the government through votes, because all they have to do is override 10 people.
but it's like lower government. I mean, you're really kind of capitalizing on rural America, which in these
Yep.
small towns, I mean, that's not gonna do a whole lot. It's kind of like an echo chamber between the mountains. But then once you get to like your first
Yep.
city, you're kind of in
Yep.
trouble.
Yep. But he was basically trying to make it a haven for white supremacists, like a
Yay.
town a town for them to like congregate and stuff like that. And also they found like maps that he drew up of the town,
Hmm.
that they were going to build like a jail here. They were going to do like stuff like that. Like they were going to make a hall. The hall was going to be something. They were going to make a prison basically for people that they didn't like or whatever, stuff like that.
Yeah. In the
And
town
on
of only
top
white people?
in the town. Yep.
Oh,
But
okay.
there's also a black guy that moved there, and he married a resident of the community, and it's kind of he does a lot of interviewing in the documentary.
Wow. Did he
And
move after they took over?
no, he lived there
Oh,
before that.
I was gonna say, man, the ball's on you.
There's another guy that lives in that town that came from Portland, and
Okay.
his daughter was killed by Nazis.
Jesus.
So he's very like against he's one of the main guys that wants to drive him out.
Hmm.
And like it's kind of a crazy documentary. Like there's a lot of footage that they just like of like town halls and stuff
Yeah.
like that they would do. And also, like you said, why did they pick that town?
Yeah.
Because not that many people have heard of Leith, and it's kind of a thing that you could keep under wraps, I guess.
Yeah.
Not really something that many people are going to know what's going on unless
Mm.
it gets out.
Yeah.
So, yeah. He
Well,
tried it twice. He tried it with Leith, and then he tried it with a community over by Fargo. But then that community basically told him he can't buy property in that community. So that was
well,
the end of that.
well, it's probably
So yeah,
gonna. That's probably gonna happen sooner or later. I'll just need like a good stiff drink, and I'll let you know how it goes.
it's it's not like, I wouldn't say it's going to be as hard of a watch as like Schindler's List or American History X,
No, because like,
but it's
yeah, I
it's
but
just like shitty people. You know what I mean?
yeah, no, I get that. But
Yeah,
all right. So one thing I'm in because I'm interested in hearing your opinion on this because
sure.
like horror films, I don't know. I feel like they're kind of changing, and one thing I loved about Get Out is that it kind of stood out from your typical horror film, and there are like major stereotypical tropes that a lot of horror films have, like whether they're supposed to have them or whether they're kind of in excess. Like for you, like what defines a horror film?
Um, I to be honest, like when they had those like the like the ghost movies and stuff like that with the
Paranormal
I can't remember
Activity?
Paranormal Activity. There you
Yeah.
go. I wasn't a huge fan of those movies, just because that to me, like the found footage movies and stuff like that, that to me isn't much of a horror film.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I don't know. I didn't really get it. I
Yeah.
guess it was a ton of people loved it and stuff like that, but didn't really get it.
Mm-hmm.
I For a horror film to me, it has to be more than just gore and blood and like monsters and stuff like that.
Yep. Yep.
Like 30 Days of Night. I reference that a lot when I talk about horror movies, just because it has aspects of where it's at. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like it's in Alaska.
Mm-hmm.
They have 30 days of darkness,
Yeah.
and it's a very interesting way of doing a vampire film.
Mm-hmm.
I think, where the sun is irrelevant and stuff like that. Or one of the one of the coolest horror films I think I've seen in recent, like, I don't know, probably the last 10 years, I would say, is probably Don't Breathe. You ever seen that movie?
All right. I saw um I saw marketing for it, but I didn't actually see it or really know what it's about.
Yeah. It's not like a gory horror film or anything
Yeah.
like that, but it's about these kids that they want to, they're robbing like houses
Uh-huh.
in these like communities or whatever. And there's this community in this city that this one old guy lives in, and
Okay.
no one else is around him. Like, every house is abandoned except for his.
Okay.
And it turns out that he's blind. He's a blind Vietnam vet.
Why does this I might have seen this. How long ago
It
was
has,
it? It's
I
not
would
new,
say,
right?
not new. It's probably 6 years old.
I might have
They've done
seen
two
that.
of them. They've done two of them.
Okay. All right.
Uh, but it's basically they try to rob his house,
Mm-hmm.
and he kind of catches wind that there's somebody in his house. He doesn't know if it's in his house or not, but
Yeah.
like they're in his house. He doesn't know they're there. But then he starts like locking up all his windows and his doors and stuff like
That's
that.
crazy.
And then basically he shuts all the power off.
Mm-hmm.
So it's dark. And then they don't know where they're going or whatever,
Oh,
but
so they
he
rob it
knows
at
the house.
night.
Yep,
Okay.
basically. Like they start robbing it like during the day, but like it turns dark pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
He finds one of them. He knows one of them was in his house. He finds one of them, and like the guy has a gun to him, and he's playing along. He's like, "Oh, don't shoot me," all that stuff. Please don't kill me and stuff like that. And then he gets close to him, and he takes the gun away from him and shoots him in the head.
Wow.
And then basically starts locking up his house
Yeah.
to see if there's anyone else in there. And then he shuts down all the power and stuff like that.
That's
And
crazy.
basically he does it through his hearing, and
That's
like
cool.
how he knows like his house, like through feel and stuff like that.
Right.
It's a wild movie. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and then basically you find out that there was a girl that killed his daughter,
Mm-hmm.
and she's locked in his basement, and
Mm-hmm.
she's pregnant with his child because he wants her to give him a child, basically, because she took away his kid. So, and she's like chained to the wall and stuff like that.
Is this the same
And
movie?
yeah,
Oh my god, what the hell?
yeah. Basically, that's why he lived in a community that no one else is around, because he's hiding that in his basement.
Okay.
And like they find her,
Mm,
and I think she gets killed somehow. She kills herself or something like that.
wow.
And then I don't know. It's kind of it's a weird movie.
It,
It's
it
like,
it takes such a weird turn when you find when you
yeah,
add
it does.
the pregnant woman in there.
Hmm.
Wouldn't it be funny
Yeah,
if this?
because it's just because they're like in his basement trying to hide from him, and then they discover this like room where he has this lady chained up
Yeah.
like for 9 months until she gives birth. Basically, it's weird.
Would it be funny if like this entire movie was sponsored by like Home Depot and it's like furnish your home that you can that you know like the back of your
Yeah.
hand
Oh yeah.
in case you need to shut it down.
Yep. It
Um
could be like it could easily be sponsored by like a home improvement store because of like the use of like locks, rooms that he builds, and then concrete. Concrete was a big one because when people die, he
yeah.
uses concrete to get rid of the
Oh
bodies.
my god, it's like extreme home makeover revamped.
It's like the most twisted like trading spaces you've ever seen in your life.
Ty Pennington in his like older years.
Yeah, basically.
That's crazy. When you mentioned Paranormal Activity, so like those scared me, and those scared me when I was a kid.
They didn't scare me.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
And I think what it was is because like they didn't give me nightmares as much as they made me afraid to go to sleep to the point where I couldn't. And I think it was because it dabbled in reality so much that I was like, I wasn't thinking about the production quality or anything. I was thinking about, oh my God, I have a hallway with a door that swings just like that ghost made that door swing.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
my bed like that, and it was a documentary night vision camera and everything. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
that's why it scares me. But then I go and watch like I don't know, maybe something like The Omen or something a little bit more fantasy like that's less based in reality. And I'm still scared by that. And I go, okay, well, maybe I'm just like a little bitch because both
Well,
things scare me.
I'm I'll be the first to admit, like I am not a huge fan of horror movies, like
No,
because
no,
they do screw with
yeah,
my head.
I can't stand them. And yet my audience still insists because of that. Because I make for a good watch because I genuinely jump out of
Yep.
my seat and fall like I did, and I think it was
Yeah, I was gonna say I
it
saw that clip.
was it oh it was Haunting of Hill House.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and they love it, the sadists that they are. Anyway, continue.
I remember you jumping out of your seat. You're, Jesus, and just throwing your stuff.
Had a bruise for a
Oh yeah.
week and a half.
Oh, I believe it. But some of the movies that screwed with me when I was a kid are movies that you probably wouldn't even think would like mess with you. Like one of the funniest things, I still think of this and laugh. But when I was a kid, do you remember Ernest Scared Straight or Scared
Yeah,
Stupid?
I think.
Ernest Scared Stupid.
I think was it a
The sh-
cartoon?
no,
Oh,
it was like the Ernest movies, like Ernest Goes to Jail, Ernest, or stuff like that.
I'll look it up.
Okay, basically, there's a troll in that one. It's the Halloween movie, and the troll like kidnaps kids and turns them into like these little figures, basically that he keeps in a tree, like
Oh
as
my
like,
god.
yep.
That looks
Did you see the troll?
horrifying.
It's
Oh
a stupid.
god.
It's kind of a stupid kids movie. It's not as horrifying as you might expect,
Oh
but
god.
the troll, the troll screwed me so much because
Yeah.
when you walk around my hometown, it's okay. I come from a town of 800 people
Oh wow.
on a good year. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like 800 people. It's a mile across by a mile,
Yeah.
and
You know what's funny? That was my graduating
but
class number.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I had 23 in my graduating class. I believe that's like that's a big class. They have like 7 nowadays. It's wild. Like
Wow.
you can fit them onto one row. Um, but the community I'm from, when you're walking,
Yeah.
the wind screws with your head because
Okay.
it makes things make noise, and you can hear a pin drop other than what the wind is making, basically. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's like swinging old doors open, and it's like making stuff creak, and it's old houses and stuff like that, and all the roads have these huge trees that have branches that just eclipse the
Yeah.
uh entire road like
Yep.
overhead,
Yeah.
and you're looking in the trees, and there's just like it's one of the creepiest places I've ever walked out at night,
Yeah.
just because it's like there's no one around, but yet you hear so much.
What
You know
about
what I
like
mean?
street lights? Anything?
There's street lights, but the trees almost cover them. You know what I mean? And there's pockets.
You
There's
can't win.
pockets. Oh, no. There's pockets of that street
Yeah.
like that you'll walk like 10 feet, you'll
Yeah.
be in a street light, and then you'll be in complete darkness. And then you'll come up to another street light.
Yeah.
One movie too, The Troll
Yeah.
screwed with me. And then there was a movie called Darkness Falls. Have you ever seen the movie Darkness Falls?
No.
It was about the Tooth Fairy. Okay. But it was a twisted Tooth Fairy movie. It was about when you lose your last like child tooth or whatever.
Yeah.
In the community of Darkness Falls, the Tooth Fairy comes for you, and like if you she's trying to like kidnap you, and it's a twisted like horror movie.
Mm.
And basically she can't be in the light.
Okay.
Like any light, your lights in your house, she's afraid of light. I think it's like something to do with she burned alive. Like the community burned her alive because they think she kidnapped a bunch of people.
Okay.
And I think it's sensitivity to her skin and stuff like that.
Right.
So that screwed with me too, because what comes after that street light? Nothing but darkness. It's like, and I'm looking in the trees like that, and Jeepers Creepers too. Oh man.
So, all right, we have two different childhoods
Oh,
because like the stuff that scared me, it wasn't outside. So I grew up kind of like in the suburbs, in the city area. Didn't really have. We had obviously woods and forests and stuff, but it wasn't like something that you walk through on your way home anywhere. And so all of my fear was internal, was in the house. And so like my mind raced when I'm thinking back to things that I saw as a kid that scared me. First of all, I watched the remake of The Omen. That scared me, but my dad was telling me that he saw the original and the original was way scarier, so I still have to verify that. But I distinctly remember, do you remember the Halloween Town movies on Disney Channel?
Yep.
Yeah. So I think it was the very first one where Calabar casts a spell, and no, it might have been the second one where there's a giant costume Halloween dance that everybody's going to, and then there's a spell that's cast where everybody turns into the thing that they're dressed up as.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
So I think it wasn't the frog. I think the mom dressed as a witch or something, and she turned into this like ghoulish witch thing with like long, like greasy, slimy fingers and everything. That thing traumatized me for years.
Oh,
I
yeah.
will not watch that again. Well, I'm fine now. I'm 31, but anyway, I can that like
Well,
back.
hey man,
I gotta look that.
I'm
up too.
36 and shit still screws with me, man.
Uh-huh.
There's no age that a horror movie will not screw with my head.
Oh
like
no,
like I
yeah, these ones now, yeah,
like I told you, the Ernest movie, that
Yep.
troll in the Ernest movie, that screwed with me for years, like
Yep.
years.
Oh, yep, there it is. Oh, that's horrible. I'll
see the troll?
Yeah, I'll put that on the episode.
Yeah.
Oh God.
But and basically it's such a dumb movie. Like if you watch it, you're gonna laugh at me, like how ridiculous it is that I was afraid of it. But
no, it's justified. That thing has so many warts on its face.
yeah, it's just not right. It's a wicked looking troll.
Yep.
But do you know how they kill it? How they end up killing the troll?
I can imagine that it's something probably hilarious.
They find out that milk kills the troll. Like if you just throw milk on it, it'll like vaporize, basically turn into a puddle of goo.
Of course,
And then,
of course. Like
and then
you can't even go with water because Wizard of Oz like
right
copyright that. So you went with milk. Wait, any kind of milk or cow's milk?
I think it was just any like cow's milk, basically.
Okay, so if like God forbid you were a vegan, and all you had was like almond milk, you were fucked.
Yeah. But there's something called MIAC, I don't
Okay.
know if you ever heard about it. It's like some powder. I don't know what it is or what it's used for, but they miss they misread that it's milk,
Mm,
and he picks up miak,
yeah.
and he tries to throw miak on him, and
Mm.
it doesn't work. So it's like it's kind of that's kind of the thing that goes around, and then the main troll is killed with unconditional love. I think it
I
was.
I can't.
It's
I
it's
can't.
so dumb. Basically, Ernest starts dancing with it and like kissing it, and then it dies.
You know, honestly though, I think that would be the thing.
Oh,
If there was anything to get me to not be scared of a movie or something, it would be bad writing or
yeah,
implausible outcomes. So like the fact that milk is the premise of which, you know, it's
yeah.
milk is the kryptonite, and the fact that unconditional love, like, did they, let me ask you this.
Mhm.
In the movie at all, did they ever establish that the troll wanted to be loved?
They okay. There's basically this like witch lady or
Yeah.
like like some kind of like outcast lady that everyone like that walks by their house and you're
Yeah.
supposed to cross the street, you know, and stuff like that. She knows about all these legends and stuff like that. She's the one that told them about the milk and the unconditional love, like kind
Okay.
of thing. But like that's how they find out. They go to like this witch basically in
Okay.
her house or whatever. And then like if you look up the witch, she's kind of weird looking too. So she's kind of I can't remember what actress she is. She's an actress that was in a couple of movies, but yeah, she's she looks very like witch like, I guess. But that's how
She.
they find it.
Oh God. You know what? I used to play a game called Jack and Daxter when I was a
Mhm.
kid,
Oh
and
yeah, yeah,
she looks
I
like
know
she
Jack.
could be one of those like characters. It might be. You know what? It's the steampunk goggles. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Um, but no, like the reason I say that is because like one of the things that like I'm big into, and I'll probably be bringing up multiple times throughout the lifespan of this podcast,
Oh
is
yeah.
uh, you know, like cause and effect, and you know,
Yep.
uh, making good on promises that you established in the beginning of the film. So like
Mhm.
the fact that you find out that this troll can be killed and their weakness is unconditional love or how they overcome it,
Mhm.
like there needs to be an establishment that that troll had a deficit of unconditional love in the beginning, which it just sounds
Yeah.
like that wasn't the case. But it also sounds like, is this based on actual lore in some culture, kind of like Frozen and Scandinavian culture?
That I never really established if it was or not. I know like the I don't know the milk thing would be a way out in left field kind of thing.
Well, I was going to say, if it
For
is
like
based on something real, like that's really ballsy that you're trusting your audience to know, like, like really deep down unknown IP
yeah.
of like
Well, like
previous lore.
yeah, well, I think like troll lore
Yeah.
that was kind of like they kidnap children and stuff like that
Oh,
or
okay.
something like that. Maybe in some cultures or whatever. I always think it has really nothing to do with a troll,
Yeah.
but I always kind of look at like almost like a Hansel and Gretel kind of thing.
Oh,
You
okay.
know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I get
Like
that.
kind of aspect.
Hmm.
But yeah, the like I said, the Ernest movies are ridiculous. They're just like they're like a kids comedy movie or kind of.
I mean,
So it's like
it looks it. Honestly,
yeah,
I typed
it's
in Ernest scare stupid, and the same expression from this guy shows up.
yep.
He's just like that kind
Ernest
of
people.
dumbfounded kind of look.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah,
the one.
Ernest. The Ernest movies were like, yeah, Ernest was a very
Oh,
like
sorry,
out there kind of
Eartha
person.
Kitt plays the witch. What is
Yeah,
she?
yeah.
Is she the one from Holes? No.
I know I've seen her in other something like
Oh, I
other.
knew it was her. Okay, yeah. So she was the I think Hector Zeroni's like grandmother or aunt in Holes,
Okay.
like the gypsy
Mhm.
woman, but she was also the voice of Yzma in Emperor's New Groove.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, I recognized her face, but
Yep.
she's got that voice for that.
Hmm.
Um,
So what? Let me ask you this:
okay.
what would you say is your favorite horror movie or horror series? Like if you like something you can just kind of go back and watch like all the time. Like for me, I would say the Leprechaun series is one of my favorite series ever, just because it's so ridiculous.
I think you know what's funny. There's a movie out there called Trolls 2, and
Yep.
I think it was so bad. I don't think there was even a Trolls 1. That was entertaining to me because it was notoriously so bad. The acting was really bad, almost like airplane level bad. Like that the stewardess, the flight attendant, she's like, I
Yep.
can't love somebody I don't trust. And I'm just like, oh, it's so cringy. But so those, you know,
Mm.
there are times when I tell myself that, and I fool myself into thinking that I like horror and that it's exciting and I like that adrenaline because like I love roller coasters. I love feeling that adrenaline rush. And so I feel like I can get that from horror films sometimes. But then when I actually sit down and I can't even I shit you not, you can go back and look at the reaction to Get Out when it's posted.
Okay.
I can barely even make it through the intro studio credits because the Bloomhouse Productions scared the shit out of me,
Mhm.
and it was like 7 seconds in, and the movie hadn't even started, and I was like, I can't do this. Um,
Um.
but
Yeah,
I
I
don't
know
know.
what you're saying.
Smile wasn't that bad. I didn't mind that.
Mhm.
Um,
I just recently watched Smile, and that was an interesting.
I
It was an
think,
interesting horror film, like interesting take.
yeah, for me, I think like those aren't bad. Paranormal Activity, I think, are probably a little bit more doable now because I've watched it already. And that is a real big difference. Like once I've watched it, obviously I know what to expect. It's a little bit easier to just sit down and kind of get through. But there are certain things that still kind of get to me. So like when the question I asked you, which was like, what makes horror? For me, it's obviously the sound and music,
Mhm.
giving you that eerie, creepy feeling. And I used to do this in my music production classes when we would like scrub audio music off of something just to show how different music evokes different emotions. Like we would play like the Jaws theme song over
Yep.
something really happy, or vice versa.
Yep.
That yeah.
You know. I was gonna say to interrupt you for just 1 second.
Oh, go ahead.
You know the creepiest intro ever.
Mhm.
It's still to this day. It's the creepiest intro. It still gives me like. It still just gives me the creeps. Is Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Oh yeah.
The original,
Yep.
where it's like in that playground and
Yep.
just the music
Mm-hmm.
and the lighting and stuff like
Yeah.
that and the smoke. It's
Yep.
oh, it's so creepy. But yeah, proceed. Sorry.
No, no. I actually, to that point,
Mhm.
one thing, and I really really want to talk about this a little bit more because like I have a, for those of you who don't know, I'm a professionally trained classical musician. I have a big music production background, as well as acting. One of the things that I really harp on, and I teach adjunct collegiate classes on this sometimes, is film scoring. And one of the most iconic scores, well, not even scores, but I guess songs or themes or motifs from any production I've ever seen, is just that slowly ascending cello note in The Dark Knight from Hans Zimmer. Whenever the Joker is doing something, it's just a slow ascension of that one cello note, and it makes you so tense because like
Yep.
something is going to happen. And I know when he's giving that first monologue to Gamble, the main like thug or guy who's got the knife in his mouth and everything,
Yep.
if you take that note away, it's a perfectly fine scene to watch. When you add it in there, you're like on
Mhm.
the edge of your seat, gripping the
Yep.
hell out of it until he actually does it. Um, but anyway, uh, sound and audio play a big part. Obviously, dark things being in the dark, jump cuts
Yep.
when you are just cutting and something is like right in your face, you're
Mhm.
really off point, and it's like kind of human nature because if you're just talking to somebody and then you cut to a different scene and then you look back and then somebody is like even closer right in your face, like you
Mhm.
recoil. And that kind of stuff, obviously really creepy depending on obviously what they're doing, but just like the cinematography is
Yep.
really creepy, and you really don't have to do a whole lot with horror.
No.
It can
Well,
be very very low budget.
yeah. Like one thing that I really liked. I didn't really like the movies themselves, like the Rob Zombie remakes of Halloween. I wasn't a huge fan
Oh
of them.
yeah, yeah.
But there's one part in the Halloween movies where the cops are looking through a house
Hmm.
and it's completely dark and the cop is like shining his flashlight doing like scanning the room
Yeah.
and he gets asked a question and he looks away, and he's still scanning the room, and his
Hmm.
flashlight hits him
Yeah.
right in the corner, and then he
Yeah.
keeps going. Like small
Yep.
little details that I
Yep.
like,
And the
stuff
funny
like
thing
that.
is, like, I've been on film sets for
Mhm.
horror films, and I've seen the behind the scenes process, but like the scenes themselves, when you're filming them, when they're just
Mhm.
completely raw and they don't have any score underneath or any sound effects, they just
Mhm.
look boring. So, for example,
Yep.
you'll have somebody look to the left because somebody is creeping up on them. They don't see anybody, and then the camera follows them as they kind of like turn back to center, and now you see that the person is actually behind them. They grab them and everything. The person screams.
Yep.
When you're just filming that, it looks boring as hell. But it's
Yeah.
only until you add the score in the background, and then you add like that kind of startling like when
Yep.
somebody just like appears, then you're scared shitless. And I'm
Or
like,
like
yeah,
the
that works now.
Yep. Or just like adding like the sound effects too. I
Mhm.
really like movies like the second remake of
Yep.
It 2 or whatever when
When
they
they're
remade
grown
that.
up, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
When that lady goes back to Derry,
Mm-hmm.
and she's in that house with that old lady
Yeah.
or whatever. Or well, it's basically Pennywise, but when she's in the kitchen,
Mm-hmm.
and then all you hear is dunk 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 dunk, like footsteps
Yep.
coming, and then
Yep.
she's like this huge ogre or something like that.
Yep.
I I like people that do like stuff like that too, like give you like just a sound effect of
Mm-hmm.
something coming, or like the Lord of the Rings, when that bucket gets dumped down the well
Mm-hmm.
in Moria, and then you hear all the drums and these footsteps coming up the like I think that adds a lot to a movie, like for
Um,
me.
I'm gonna just add, as of June 22nd, 2025, I still have not seen any of the Lord of the Rings movies.
Oh my lord,
I know I have to. People have been asking me to. They're just so long.
they're
I
very.
know, I gotta do it. I know it'll happen.
I mean, just like anything else, the first one is a slow build,
Which is fine
but then
for
the
me
second
because like I love world building, so it
for
might
sure.
not be as grueling for me. I don't know. We'll see. Um,
They're fun movies.
yeah,
Like, have you read the books
part
or
of them.
part of them? Okay, so well, I'm just saying, so you have an idea of like kind of what it
Yeah,
is,
yeah,
stuff like that.
I
The movies are good though, like the
yeah,
acting and stuff, is very very good.
yeah. I think the last thing, to your point, talking about the footsteps, is one thing I always notice, and I hate in the moment, but I love in production, is like
Mhm.
just how much they really amplify regular sounds. Because your
Yep.
senses feel so heightened when you're watching a horror film that, like, even you can just hear the slight creak or the breath of somebody, and then there's a slight pause, and this is the formula. You can hear all these things, like you can hear water droplets, you can hear creaks in the floor, you can
Yep.
hear somebody's breath, and then there's like a slight 1 or 2 second pause, and then boom, scare. And
Yep.
so, because I can identify that formula, I can kind of anticipate when something's about to happen. It doesn't mean I'm not going to jump and be scared, but I've
Hmm.
kind of come to expect that as like the generic formula. But also, movies like Get Out are kind of challenging that form, which is good because if you have a million horror films, like the genre's got to go somewhere. Yeah.
Yep. Um,
Yeah.
I was gonna say one movie too that I think they did. It's not a horror movie. It's a movie that I think with one character they
Mm.
did so, like to make him menacing.
Yeah.
They did such good visuals and
Mm.
stuff like that, or just like shots.
Mm.
Was Dennis the Menace? Do you remember Christopher Lloyd's character in Dennis the Menace?
No, no, God, no.
Christopher Lloyd played that guy that that
Was he
was he
the?
like
Oh, was he the
like a
hobo?
pachyderm. Yeah, he was the hobo that was traveling. That was Christopher Lloyd. And
Oh my
when
God.
like when he's yeah, dude, when he's robbing that house, when that house has the window open and the
Mm.
jewelry box is open, and then you see the jewelry box and it just closes, and all you see is his eyes and stuff like that. It's like creepy stuff like that. Or when like there's a moon, like the full moon, and
Yeah.
he's on that bridge, just sitting on the bridge with like resting his arm on his knee and stuff like that. I just think that like they did very good with like visuals on him. But yeah,
Actually,
that's
that
Christopher Lloyd. How
that
crazy is that?
that actually, I mean, I can totally see it now, but I
Mhm.
do remember watching that. He did kind of scare me, but I was like I was a
He
little
was a
kid,
creepy dude.
and it gave very child abduction vibes. So
Oh,
I had
absolutely.
a right to be scared over that.
And then like every time he came on screen, they played like
Yep,
that like that
yep,
tense like dun 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 music.
yep,
Yeah,
yep. I remember
yeah,
that very well. Oh
yep.
well, I think that's good
So
enough here. If you want, oh, go. Sorry.
yeah, I was gonna ask you one more thing too, like with feel good movies.
Oh, here we go.
What are a few of your feel good movies? So
Okay,
we'll name a few and talk
I
about
was
them.
just talking to my girlfriend about this the other night. One of my, I would say in my top five, if not top three, uh,
Okay.
Tom Hanks is The Terminal.
Okay.
Have you seen that?
I think I've seen it a long time ago.
It's the one where he plays this Krakosia. I think it's the country of Krakosia. He's a Krakosian immigrant in America. He gets stuck
Mhm.
in JFK. The term
I,
in the airport, he cannot leave because his country has been at war as soon like
okay.
went into a war as he was flying over to America, so his passport's invalid, so he can't literally legally step into the United States, so he's stuck
Okay.
in the airport for a few months, and he befriends everybody, and it's just such a feel good
Okay.
movie.
That's
It is a
that's
really
cool.
good feel good movie. Not to mention the fact that Danny Elfman does the score, and Danny
Okay.
Elfman is really good at making that feel good kind of feeling with his music.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, Terminal's up there. Obviously, honestly, a lot of Tom Hanks movies are. Forrest Gump,
Mhm.
too.
Forrest Gump, like that still is one of the only movies that I will cry to, and I have no problem saying I cried.
Oh,
I
I
cried.
I
Gump
bawled like a
because
baby
I'll cry.
tons of
Oh yeah,
time. Yeah.
like at the end when he's talking to his mom's grave and Jenny's grave, it's
Yep.
like, oh
Yep.
man,
Yep.
it's
And
rough.
and I hate to say this, but it's like some actors, they just have
Mhm.
really weird crying faces. And if it's weird enough, it'll take away from the scene. Like
For sure.
Tom Hanks was genuine to his
Yep.
character. It really, really like speaks volumes of, like to like who he is as an actor. Um,
Yep.
yeah, those two off the top of my head. Um, I don't know. There are some that aren't entirely feel good, but they end up with a very like feel goody happy story, like
Mhm.
Goodwill Hunting, which is my favorite movie.
Yep.
Um, I don't know. In terms of like pure feel good, I have no idea. I don't. My mom watches the Hallmark Channel religiously. I'm sure I could
Okay.
pick like a good
Yep.
handful out of them. They're cheap, cheap movies, but you know, they're movies.
Well, well, I mean, a feel good movie, it could be a comedy movie that just makes you feel good about, it makes you uplifts you and stuff like that. It could be a sad movie. Like
Yeah.
one feel good movie that's a sad movie. It's very sad. Is The Pursuit of Happiness
Yep.
with Will
Yep.
Smith.
Yeah.
Like when they're like the part that gets me all the time is when he's with his son and they have to sleep in that bathroom
Hmm.
and he has to hold the door shut with his leg
Yeah.
because somebody's trying to get in there. It's like that movie to me, it sucks. Like
Hmm.
not the movie,
Hmm.
but the situations just suck. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, this guy's yeah. Or when he's trying to get into that homeless shelter and stuff like that with his son, it's like, ugh.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
then there's one movie that I watch. There's a couple comedy movies that I watch when I want to just laugh and
Yeah.
like bring my mood up.
Hmm.
One of them is The Sandlot.
Okay.
Now, The Sandlot, my brother and I, we have a tradition every year that we watch it on the 4th of July
Hmm.
because it is a 4th of July movie.
Hmm.
Um, so it's like just stuff like that, just like that kind of comedy kind of uplifts me. If I'm having a bad day, I'll watch that movie.
Yeah.
Or have you ever seen Death to Smoochie?
Nope.
Robin Williams in Death to Smoochie is he has such a good part. His it's basically a movie of like you remember like Barney and stuff like that, like those mascot
Yep.
kid shows.
Yep.
It's one of those, but it's about corruption.
Yep.
It's about like how twisted it is and
Hmm.
like money laundering and stuff like that.
Damn.
And uh it's a comedy, but
Mm.
um he plays a character called Rainbow Randolph,
Hmm.
and he gets kicked off the show
Hmm.
because he gets caught taking money to have people's kids on the show.
Oh my
And then,
god.
yeah, it's great. And then Edward Norton is Smoochie,
Okay.
and he plays like he takes over for Rainbow Randolph, and the whole movie is about Rainbow Randolph trying to sabotage him and make him look shitty, so he gets kicked off the show. But if you love Robin Williams, you
Yep.
have to watch Death to Smoochy. It's
Yeah.
he's so good in that movie, and
Yeah.
I think it's one of his like later movies.
Yeah. And I
Yeah,
do. I'll add that to the list. It's funny. I guess we'll end here.
sure.
A lot of this show is going to be because I think in the past five, no, I think in the past hour you have told me a bunch of things and made me realize that I don't know a lot of content that's out there. And like, but you also know, like, you are also like really in the know when it comes to that kind of stuff, and that's going to be fun because like that list of things that
Yeah,
I'm going to be like looking up is going to be growing and growing and growing. But we'll end with this: what's your go-to thing or one thing that you know for sure does the trick every time to put you back in your happy place, to calm you down when you need to be calmed down, to just bring you back to center?
just as far as movies.
Movies, a video, music, anything.
To be honest, I love for me, like trying to like get back to like a good mood. To me, I love car rides and just listening to music.
Okay, that works.
I like to drive. I like to be alone
Yep.
and just drive. I like
Mm,
to kind of get out of town a little bit, get out of
yeah.
the city,
Hmm.
and just kind of go see rural areas and stuff like that. And then there's certain albums that I love. Like I'll listen to Tool. Like I'm a huge Tool fan.
Okay.
The band Tool. I don't know if you're familiar with a lot of Tool, but I think you would like them. I think you
Okay.
would really like
Okay. Cool.
them. But I listen to them, and there's like their catalog is basically something that I can listen to from front to back,
Hmm.
and it's just good music. And then I love like with what I used to play musically and stuff like that in bands and stuff. People
Yeah.
think this is kind of weird, but I love 70s funk and disco. I love them.
That is
Those
so out of
genres.
left field.
I love it.
Dude,
Like I could turn on a disco station and listen to it all day,
that
or
is
like 70s funk, like the
that
OJ's,
is
or like
crazy.
Rick James. You know what I mean? Or just stuff like that. I love it.
I I can't hear the name Rick James without thinking Dave Chappelle.
Oh, for sure.
I was like, I'm Rick
Like,
James, bitch.
oh yeah, for sure. There's a lot of that. But like, if you listen to a lot of like Rick James,
Yeah.
or I'm trying to think, brain fart on the name, but he's a little dude with a afro. He's a 70s guy. He super bad. He sang super bad. I can't remember what his
I
name
have no
is.
idea. Every time I think of like little guy, I think of Gary Coleman.
I'll look at well, like what's your like what brings you up, like your mood and stuff like
Okay.
that.
If I can't leave, because driving around, going to, the mountains if I can is great. Because every now and then, yes, it is very good to get out of the city. Yes, they have like forested areas, man made, in the city to kind of give you that lush feeling. But the
Yep.
city life isn't for everybody. And the people who live in it, yes, it is good to kind of get out every now and then.
Yep.
But if I can't go anywhere, and this is a guilty pleasure that we're probably not going to be able to like connect on, is it's so weird. It's
Okay.
watching live stream walkthrough videos of Disney World, because
Okay.
ever since I was a kid, Disney World has been my childhood place. We would go maybe like every couple years, save up, go, try different hotels, and it was a place that invoked fantasy. And actually, if you want to go talk about feel good movies, a lot of Disney movies are my feel good movies,
Yep.
and
I
just
love Disney, the old
right,
school ones.
yeah,
Yeah.
in Disney World, and we could have an entire episode on Disney World, and I would be head over heels happy to talk about
Sure.
it.
We could do that.
It's just such a place, a magical place where you just forget all your cares, and they work so hard to kind of get you into the fantasy and the story of the place. And so I will literally watch people just doing walkthroughs for fucking like 5 hours, just
Mhm.
walking through, trying on rides with the little camera, the vlogging camera,
Yep.
and it's just hearing the music of the amusement parks and of the restaurants and things. Like, it puts me into such a lull. I love
Yep.
it. It's so good.
I I really I really like vloggers that go to like certain countries that I've never been to, or
Yep.
I'll never have the opportunity. Like Russia.
Mm.
Russia is one that I found that I find really interesting. Just like, and I watch a lot of videos on Russia and stuff like that.
Nice.
But like the vlogging and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say, oh, James Brown.
Okay.
James Brown.
Oh.
Listen to James Brown, like some of his deep cuts, and tell me that doesn't make you feel good. I love James Brown.
If I can have the lyrics next to,
Yep.
pulled up, yeah, I'll do that because I can't understand
Yep.
a word that man is saying.
Oh, it's good. Like if you listen to Superbad or Get Up Off That Thing, oh yeah, James Brown. James Brown will put you in another dimension.
Yeah.
Or I'll leave it with this one more thing
Okay.
that makes me feel good. In North Dakota is a very good state for it because, especially the region I'm in,
Mm-hmm.
is because it's very flat. We live in a river, like a old lake basin, basically, and it's very flat and it's all farmland. But if you I love sunrises and sunsets.
Yep. Oh yeah. Hell yeah.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
And where I'm from, has some of the best sunrises and sunsets I've ever seen.
Nice.
Just because there's nothing impeding it. You can watch it completely go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it has like those purples and stuff when it's like rising in the winter.
Mm-hmm.
It's very cool.
I'm gonna find a picture of a good sunset. And...
It's majestic. Let's put it that way.
All right.
It's so purple and it's very cool.
Yeah. For those of you listening, you're gonna have to figure it out. Oh. Well, this has been a great first episode. Once again, guys, thank you guys. Check out Writer Reacts. Check out all the content we got going on up there. I'll leave links in the description down below. Once again, I'm Chris.
And I'm John.
This has been the Mad Media Podcast. We'll see you guys next time.
See you later.